YouTube audiobook review and summary script. The Color Princess, a story about fear, healing, and finding your true colors ***. What if the world lost every color, not because of magic, not because of a curse, but because people became too afraid to feel? Imagine waking up every morning beneath a gray sky. Walking through gray gardens. Wearing gray clothes. Seeing gray faces. No red roses. No golden sunlight. No blue night sky. No green forests. Just a kingdom where everything looks safe, quiet, and controlled, but also empty. That is the world of The Color Princess, a gentle but powerful fairy tale set in a kingdom called Grayscale Grove, where color has disappeared from everyday life. At the center of the story is Princess Iris, a young royal who has everything a princess is supposed to have: comfort, status, and safety, but still feels trapped, because something essential is missing. This is not simply a story about making the world prettier. It is a story about identity. About emotional healing. About trauma. About the courage to express who you really are, even when everyone around you has forgotten how. The author of this story is not named in the provided text, so for this review, we'll refer to them as the storyteller behind The Color Princess. And what this storyteller gives us is a modern fairy tale with a timeless message. Sometimes the world becomes gray not because beauty disappears, but because people become afraid of it. Visual: Princess Iris, made of layered paper textures, walks through a lifeless garden. Her eyes hold a faint sparkle of color. Why does a story like The Color Princess feel so relevant today? Because many people live in their own version of Grayscale Grove. They hide their personality to fit in. They silence their dreams to avoid judgment. They avoid joy because joy once came with pain. They choose control because freedom feels risky. And that is exactly why Princess Iris's journey matters. She is not fighting a dragon. She is not trying to conquer another kingdom. Her battle is quieter, deeper, and in some ways more relatable. She is trying to help people remember that there is more to life than survival. But as the story unfolds, Iris discovers something surprising: not everyone wants color back. Some people fear it. Some resist it. And one powerful figure, Mayor Monochrome, is willing to erase color completely to protect the town from what he believes is chaos. So the question becomes, can Princess Iris bring back color without tearing her kingdom apart? Let's step into the paper-cut world of The Color Princess and explore its story, meanings, most memorable moments, and the life lessons hidden beneath its beautiful surface. Visual: a wide shot of Grayscale Grove. The town is made of stacked paper buildings in shades of silver, ash, and charcoal. No bright colors anywhere. The story begins in Grayscale Grove, a kingdom where the colors have long since faded. The people have grown used to a life without vibrant beauty. Their homes, clothes, gardens, and streets are all gray. This lack of color is not presented as a small detail. It defines the entire emotional atmosphere of the kingdom. Into this world comes Princess Iris, a young princess who feels the absence of color more deeply than anyone else. Although she was born into privilege, her royal position does not make her happy. She is surrounded by comfort, yet emotionally confined. Her heart longs for something more alive. Iris wanders through the colorless gardens, asking why everything feels so lifeless. This moment is important because it shows us that she is not simply bored. She senses that something is wrong with the soul of her kingdom. Then she meets a mysterious old woman, a wise, grandmother-like figure who seems to know more about Iris than a stranger should. This woman recognizes something inside the princess, a hidden spark, a gift, a connection to color that Iris herself does not yet fully understand. The old woman tells Iris that if she wants to bring color back, she must first learn to listen. Not command. Not force. Not decorate. Listen. She must listen to nature, to the wind, to stones, to objects, and to people. This is one of the most beautiful ideas in the story. Color is not treated as paint slapped onto the world. It is treated as truth being revealed. The old woman gives Iris a special stone, a magical object that helps her hear the whispers of the world more clearly. Then, as suddenly as she appeared, the old woman disappears, leaving Iris with a gift and a mission. Visual, close-up of a glowing stone pendant resting in Iris's hands. A faint rainbow shimmer appears inside it. Iris begins by transforming herself. She runs her hands through her hair, and it becomes a rainbow of colors. Then she touches her gray dress, revealing brightness and personality. This is the first major turning point of the story. Iris stops hiding inside the world's expectations and reveals her true nature. Soon, others notice. Some are shocked. Some are afraid. Some are curious. Iris then begins helping people and places rediscover their own colors. She meets a servant or townsman who is unsure whether color is safe. With care and permission, she helps him remember a deep blue shade that reminds him of the night sky he loved as a boy. This scene shows that color is connected to memory. It is not random. It is personal. Then Iris visits a shop where everything is dull and gray. The shopkeeper is skeptical, but Iris listens to the objects and helps them reveal what they truly are. A tree appears in color. Cherry blossoms bloom in pink. For an elderly person nearby, this awakens memories of childhood. The world used to look this way. The grayness is not natural. It is something that happened over time. Visual, a gray paper tree unfolds into layered pink cherry blossoms. The first bright color fills the screen. One of the sweetest moments comes when a child asks Iris how she changed herself. The child wants to learn. Iris explains that the color was already inside. She only had to believe in it and let it out. This is a key message. Iris does not give people color as if she owns it. She helps them find what was already there. But every revolution, even a joyful one, creates resistance. An entourage of men dressed in monochrome arrives and takes Iris to meet Mayor Monochrome, the leader of Grayscale Grove. He sees Iris's actions not as healing, but as disruption. To him, the town has survived in monochrome for generations. Color is unnecessary, dangerous, and destabilizing. Here, the story becomes more complex. Mayor Monochrome is not just a cartoon villain who hates beauty. He believes he is protecting his people. He reveals a terrifying machine called the Grayscaler, designed to drain all color from the town. If Iris continues her work, he is prepared to activate it. At first, Iris stands her ground. She argues that people deserve self-expression, joy, and choice. But the mayor warns her that color will divide the town. And soon, his warning begins to come true. The next day, Grayscale Grove is split. On one side are people embracing color. On the other are people clinging to gray. Tension rises. Accusations fly. Both sides become more extreme. Iris, who only wanted to bring beauty and freedom, realizes that change without understanding can create conflict. Then comes the emotional truth behind Mayor Monochrome's fear. Iris learns that many years ago, when the mayor was a young boy named Timmy, the kingdom held an annual color fair. It was supposed to be a day of joy. But a terrible accident happened. Paint containers collapsed, flooding the streets. People panicked. In the chaos and stampede, many were injured and some died, including Timmy's parents. From that day on, Timmy associated color with danger, loss, and chaos. As he grew into Mayor Monochrome, he built a society around control. In his mind, removing color meant removing risk. This revelation changes everything. Iris finally understands that she is not just fighting a rule. She is facing a wound. Visual, flashback in muted sepia gray paper layers. A young boy stands alone among overturned paint barrels. Colors appear as frightening splashes. When the mayor prepares to use the grayscaler, Iris does not defeat him with force. She speaks to the child still hurting inside him. She acknowledges his loss. She tells him that hiding from pain does not make it disappear. It only spreads fear. Then she gently asks him to remember something happy about his parents before the accident. He closes his eyes. And when he opens them, he sees the color of his mother's favorite dress. This is the emotional climax of the story. Color, for the mayor, has always meant tragedy. But Iris helps him remember that color also belonged to love. To family. To joy before the pain. The mayor is not instantly transformed. He does not suddenly throw a grand parade and cover the entire kingdom in rainbows. Instead, he admits he may not be ready for all the change at once. And Iris wisely accepts that. Together, they agree to start small, a trial in one part of town. Not forced color. Not forced gray. A choice. The story ends with Grayscale Grove standing at the beginning of healing. The kingdom is not magically fixed overnight. But hope has returned. Color has taken root again. And the people now have a chance to build a future where expression and safety can coexist. ## key themes and hidden meanings. Visual, split-screen paper town, one half gray, one half colorful. In the center stands Iris, holding the glowing stone. The first major theme of The Color Princess is self-expression. Color represents the inner truth of each person. When Iris helps people become colorful, she is not changing them into something artificial. She is helping them reveal what has been hidden. This connects deeply to real life. Many people hide parts of themselves because they fear rejection. They become gray to survive, quieter, smaller, less alive. The story asks us, what would happen if we allowed ourselves to show our real colors? The second theme is listening. The old woman tells Iris to listen to the world. That may sound simple, but it is actually the foundation of the entire story. Iris succeeds not because she has power, but because she listens. She listens to objects. She listens to memories. Eventually, she listens to the pain of her enemy. In real life, this is a powerful lesson. Many conflicts get worse because people try to win before they try to understand. Iris shows that true change begins with empathy. The third theme is trauma and control. Mayor Monochrome's hatred of color comes from an unresolved wound. He experienced a terrifying tragedy involving color, so he tried to protect himself and everyone else by removing color from society. This is psychologically realistic. Sometimes people who have been hurt try to control the world around them so they never have to feel vulnerable again. But control is not the same as healing. The mayor's gray world is safe, but it is also emotionally lifeless. The story reminds us that avoiding pain can also mean avoiding joy. Another important theme is choice. At first, the conflict seems simple: color is good, gray is bad. But the story becomes wiser than that. When the town divides into opposing sides, we see that forcing color onto people can become just as harmful as forcing gray onto them. The resolution is not domination. It is coexistence. This is a mature message, especially for a fairy tale. Real healing cannot be rushed. People need space, compassion, and agency. Finally, the story explores hope after fear. Grayscale Grove has lived under fear for generations. Yet one brave person begins to change the emotional weather of the kingdom. Iris's courage shows that hope often begins with one person asking a different question: does life have to stay this way? ## most memorable moments. Visual, a magical stop-motion montage of key scenes unfolding like pages in a pop-up book. One of the most memorable moments is Iris's first transformation. When her hair becomes a rainbow and her dress changes from gray to vibrant color, it feels like a symbolic rebirth. She is no longer simply a princess trapped by the rules of her world. She becomes the color princess, not because someone crowns her, but because she accepts who she is. Another powerful scene is when Iris helps the man remember the blue of the night sky. This moment is quiet, but emotional. It shows that color is tied to personal history. A single shade can awaken a forgotten part of someone's soul. The cherry blossom scene is also visually unforgettable. In a world of gray, the sudden appearance of pink blossoms feels almost miraculous. It is not just pretty, it is proof that beauty was never truly gone. It was waiting. The child learning to reveal their own color is another standout moment. It captures the story's innocence and hope. Children often understand self-expression more naturally than adults. The child does not need a political argument. They simply want to shine. Then comes the confrontation with Mayor Monochrome and the grayscaler. This raises the stakes dramatically. Until this point, color feels like a beautiful discovery. Now it becomes dangerous. The machine represents institutional fear, the power of authority to erase individuality in the name of safety. But perhaps the most emotionally resonant moment is the mayor remembering his mother's dress. This scene works because it does not humiliate him. Iris does not destroy him. She helps him reconnect with love buried beneath trauma. That is what makes the ending meaningful. The mayor's change is not instant, but it is believable. He takes one small step. And sometimes, one honest small step is more powerful than a dramatic transformation. ## life lessons and takeaways. Visual, paper lanterns slowly light up across the town, each one a different soft color. The first lesson from the Color Princess is, your true colors are already inside you. Iris does not create identity from nothing. She reveals it. In life, we often think we need permission to become ourselves. But sometimes, the real work is removing the layers of fear, shame, and expectation that hide who we already are. The second lesson is, listen before you try to change anything. Iris's gift becomes powerful only when she listens. This applies to relationships, leadership, family, and personal growth. If you want to help someone, first understand what they feel. If you want to change a community, first understand its wounds. The third lesson is, fear can disguise itself as wisdom. Mayor Monochrome believes he is being responsible. He believes color creates danger. But his belief is shaped by trauma. In our own lives, we may avoid love, ambition, creativity, or risk because something hurt us before. We may call it being practical, but sometimes it is fear wearing a serious face. The fourth lesson is, healing takes time. The ending does not pretend that one conversation fixes an entire kingdom. That is important. Real healing is gradual. Trust must be rebuilt. People need patience. Progress often begins with a small trial, a small conversation, or a small act of courage. The fifth lesson is, freedom should include compassion. The colorful side of town becomes angry at the gray side, and the gray side becomes angry at the colorful side. This reflects real-world polarization. Even good causes can become harmful if they lose empathy. Iris learns that helping people find color is not about forcing everyone to change at the same speed. It is about creating space where people can choose growth. And finally, joy is worth protecting. Not reckless joy. Not careless joy. But deep, life-giving joy. The kind that reconnects people with memory, beauty, love, creativity, and hope. Grayscale Grove survived without color. But survival is not the same as living. ## why this book became so popular. Visual, a paper book opens, and colorful scenes rise from its pages like a miniature theater. The Color Princess has the kind of story that can appeal to children and adults at the same time. On the surface, it is magical and easy to understand. A princess brings color back to a gray kingdom. That premise is instantly visual, emotional, and memorable. But beneath that simple idea is a deeper emotional structure. Adults can recognize the themes of trauma, fear, control, and healing. Children can understand the importance of kindness, courage, and being themselves. This dual-layer storytelling is one reason fairy tales endure. The best fairy tales are not complicated, but they are meaningful. They use simple symbols, color, darkness, castles, gardens, magic stones, to explain emotional truths. The story also works because the villain is not purely evil. Mayor Monochrome has a reason for his actions. We may disagree with him, but we understand him. That makes the conflict more interesting. It teaches viewers that people who resist change may not always be cruel, sometimes they are scared. Another strength is the visual appeal. A kingdom without color slowly coming alive is perfect for animation, picture books, audiobooks, and YouTube storytelling. Every restored color feels like a reward. Every new shade becomes a turning point. The story's timeless appeal comes from its central metaphor. Everyone understands color. Everyone understands what it means to feel gray inside. And everyone, at some point, has needed someone to remind them that life can become bright again. In today's world, where many people feel pressured to conform or choose sides, The Color Princess offers a softer, wiser message: be yourself, but don't forget to listen. Bring color, but don't forget compassion. ## final thoughts. Visual, Grayscale Grove at sunset. Some buildings remain gray, others glow with gentle color. Iris and Mayor Monochrome stand together, looking over the town. Overall, The Color Princess is a heartfelt and meaningful modern fairy tale. Its greatest strength is its emotional simplicity. It uses the idea of color to explore identity, memory, trauma, and healing in a way that is accessible to a global audience. Princess Iris is an inspiring heroine because she leads with empathy rather than force. She is brave, but not arrogant. She believes in beauty, but learns the importance of patience. Her journey is not only about changing the world, it is about understanding the people who fear change. Mayor Monochrome is also one of the story's most important elements. Without his backstory, he might feel like a simple obstacle. But once we learn about his childhood tragedy, the story becomes much richer. It reminds us that behind many strict rules and fearful attitudes, there may be pain that has never healed. If there is one area where the story could grow even more, it would be in showing what happens after the compromise. How does the town rebuild trust? How do people learn to live with both gray and color? What challenges appear when freedom returns? These unanswered questions could make a wonderful sequel. I would recommend The Color Princess to families, young readers, teachers, audiobook listeners, and anyone who enjoys inspirational fairy tales with emotional depth. It is especially meaningful for people who have ever felt silenced, misunderstood, or afraid to express themselves. At its heart, this story tells us that color is not just something we see. It is something we feel. It is memory. It is identity. It is courage. It is love returning after fear. Visual, close-up of Iris's glowing stone. The camera pulls back as small colors spread gently across the landscape like watercolor on paper. And maybe the most beautiful message of all is this: you do not have to paint yourself into someone new. You only have to listen closely enough to discover the color that was already there. So now I want to ask you. If you lived in Grayscale Grove, what color do you think would reveal your true self, and what memory, dream, or feeling would it represent? Share your answer in the comments. And if this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more magical audiobook reviews and story summaries.